Hello, everybody. Welcome to Paranormal. I got that backwards.
Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio, where truth equals reality, and truth is often stranger than fiction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paranormal Palace Radio. This is your host, Royce Redneck Radio Man. I apologize for coming in on that there a little bit early there. I got mixed up here for a moment, and I started ahead of my intro. However, joining me today is going to be Tommy Hawksblood, and we're going to be talking about spiritual warriors. And this is the first of I think a 2 or 3 part series, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not real familiar with what Tommy has to say, so I'm going to give him the floor for a big chunk of this. And unless a question comes to mind, and I'll try to come in and ask a question as I get it. And also, while the intro was going, I had a call come in. I didn't say anything to him. I just joined him in. I think it was my co-host, Gerald. Gerald, is that you here live with us?
Actually, it's me, Royce. It's
John. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Gerald just called me. He had a family emergency, and he's going to be delayed by about 7 minutes. And I just was calling to let you know. And I just had left the funeral last and he was thinking, wanted me to get a hold, or if you want me to co-host so he can get on?
No, actually, I wasn't expecting you because I knew you had that funeral to bury your wife today.
Yeah, right. So anyway, Gerald had been there. He raced home, and he had a family emergency come up. He had to take care of it. He says he'll be on his Skype in about 7 minutes. If you'll give him 7 minutes, he'll join you.
Okay, thanks, John, and good luck. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
That's okay. I appreciate it, Royce. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Well, Tommy, I guess we're not getting off on the most professional foot in the world, but how are you doing today?
All right, I'm doing fine. It's a pleasure. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. And before I get into too much stuff today, I want to just explain a few things going on in Hawaii. We got a lot of serious problems in Hawaii, even though they publicly don't talk about it because they don't want to change the tourist attractions coming here. Basically, they're doing GMO testing on Sunday. The clinic's open for people to come there and get a free test to see how the GMO is affecting them, because it's a toxic thing and it's affecting the island. Plus, we got we call it the VOG from the volcano, which is toxic too. And both of them affect everybody. Me personally, I've been hearing the sound from the GMO. It kind of keeps me awake on and off during the night. It's kind of like a low hum. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's the first time they're going to do the testing. I guess they want to see how it's really affecting people. But I know the hospitals here are filled with people that can't breathe, lung problems, different kind of respiratory sicknesses and diseases.
Wow. What's a GMO?
It's actually the thermal plant that they use to produce power inside the Earth here. Plus, it has to do with the actual earthquake energy. So between both of them, it produces 2 different toxic gases that we inhale daily. If you look at your car or your truck, you go into your house on the windows, you see this slime, and it gets put there like almost every day. And we're breathing that. So, yeah, it's a toxic. That part's very toxic, so they're actually going to do testing for the first time on Sunday. And I'm really going to try to get there because, like I said, I've been feeling really lousy the past couple of days. But I just moved really close to the geothermal, and I have a friend that lives right near there, and he said he saw ships over it a couple different times and saw beams of light shooting down inside it. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here. We have a HAARP system here, if everybody knows what that is, or check it out, HAARP.
I'm familiar with it. I knew they had one in Africa.
Well, we got 2.
Alaska. I'm sorry.
Well, the big one's in Alaska. The first one they ever built was in Alaska. The United States built 5 more. We have one on the Big Island, one on Maui, too. But they have 4 others inside the United States. Plus, every other country has one, too. So it's not like it's private to the United States, but I guess the United States is probably more advanced on it than any other person or group of people using it. So, yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because I'm here, and it is beautiful sometimes. I'm right next to the ocean. We've got like a lagoon that's really private. So it's beautiful that way. But when we get into toxic breathing and conditions, I mean, Hawaii's got a lot of serious things going on. But without going into that too much, I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, is this TMO, is this a new means of energy? Because, I mean, I'm just now hearing about the reports of this toxic energy going on. So I'm assuming this is either something new or something they hadn't broadcast to the public, but it's been ongoing for some time.
Well, in Hawaii, we had it a while because we got active volcanoes and stuff. So there's a lot of energy inside the earth that they're tapping into. And I actually, right now, I'm only about 2 miles from the thermal place where the generating building is. I do want to take a tour of that. I never got inside it, which I would like to do and take some pictures if I can when I get there. But yeah, they closed it down supposedly 6 months ago, and they had to paint it. And then that's when my friend said he saw the beams of light shooting down inside it. So yeah, I want to get out there. I'm just going to be able to start shooting pictures of the sky again, which I haven't been doing for a long time, because it's been raining every night here for the past 3 months.
Well, I can't help but wonder, can your friend be sure the lights are shooting down in it and not up out of it?
No, my friend saw the ship above it.
Oh, okay.
And it was shooting the lights down. Kind of like that video that was online over that temple, and I think it was Israel or somewhere, where the beam of light shot down. It's all over the internet. It was a really incredible video. But yeah, he said he saw it 2 different times, and he said nothing worked. He was trying to call me in the middle of the night to tell me to check it out, but it never happened.
So basically, they're trying something new to get energy other than the old nuclear method?
Exactly. They have so much technology. I mean, they could use and they proved it. There's a couple documentaries out there on doing the earthquakes in the ocean and producing energy from them and stuff like that. They have a lot of ideas which they're going to be doing.
But they're not sure about what the ramifications of their actions are they?
Well, you know, our government does things, and the only way they find that out is in time. Like a medicine. They do testing on it. How many people do they really test it with, and then they put it out there.
Well,
and
yeah, but they used to use mice, and now the humans have become the lab rats.
Exactly. Well, I'd rather have them tested. I mean, people volunteer to do that, and then they have to sign waivers and stuff like that, too. But, I mean, what works on a mouse might not work on you. The same as what works on a cat might not work on you. So when we test other things, even though they say a mouse is very close to our viruses and sicknesses that we get, and could get them all. I mean, I watched that when I was in grade school. They showed a cancer thing about mice, and they put tobacco on them, and they get cancer right away and stuff like that. But that was like in the 60s. So they've been testing, and they've been using all kinds of tests, but now they're doing testing in space and everywhere else. So it's pretty complex. If you want to know and find out the truth, you really got to do a lot of searching online. But the information's there. If you know where to look, you can find anything you need to know.
Been pretty much my finding over the years. There ain't nothing you can't find on the internet, including how to make a bomb.
Well, you know, that book that came out many years ago when we were children, I forgot what it was, the Anarchy's Cookbook.
I think I heard of that book.
It actually tells you how to make bombs, how to make LSD, how to make pen weapons, and it got into everything. And you could still get it online from another country. They banned it in the United States years ago. But for my whole childhood, it was like free, and everybody just got it. Oh, wow, check this out. So yeah, but now, with the internet the way it is, there's nothing you can't find on the internet. Give it a few minutes.
Well, Tommy, we got the outlaw Gerald Riggins, my co-host, sitting here, standing by. Let me bring him in real quick.
Sure.
Gerald, how you doing? Well, I see his picture, and it's moving up there, but I don't see him. I mean, I don't hear him.
I see him.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Hey, Gerald, is everything okay?
It's okay. I apologize, guys. I had a sudden, unexpected emergency pop in, and I had to rush to take care of that. And I deeply, deeply apologize, guys, if I inconvenienced you or any of the listeners.
No, that's fine. I was just wondering if you had a chance to get any, because I'm not sure. I think you've been with us 2 or 3 minutes to kind of get an ear into what we were talking about Hawaii and the energy they're drilling for out of the volcanoes.
Yes.
Did you have any comments on that?
Not as of yet.
Okay, I didn't know if you were familiar with any of that or not.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. I'm going to go ahead and let Tommy speak a little bit so I can get kind of more caught in. And I'm sure I'll have questions for you later, Tommy, if that's cool, bro.
Sure, definitely. I love questions. It gives a lot more feedback.
Yes.
The title that I want to actually keep talking about today, I'm going to do it in 2 parts. Spiritual warriors. I'm going to get into the spiritual part first, and then we'll get into the warrior part second, because when they go together, it's a very important thing, what we should become right now and what we really need to do at this time frame in our lives. The word spiritual is a very fluctual word. People have their own opinions what it means and come up with different ideas. But if you look at it in a different way and say, well, what does it really mean? What would spiritual be to you? Then you bring it into your own self and how it relates to your energy, to how you think and act. For me, and I'm going to try to keep it to the point where I deal with the overall public, because I talk to everybody that I can about it and always get feedback from people and their viewpoints and what they think about. But in this society, mankind has accepted for spirituality, and they give it a definition: love and light. So we're going to split that up too, because they're separate too. But we'll stick with the love part. All right. When man says, okay, love is the most important thing on this planet. Well, if you go back thousands of years up till now, how much did it really play in creating a better society, a better lifestyle, a better way of life? If you'll check into that, I mean, do research, check numbers and stuff, how we didn't move forward. In about 2,000 years, how much did we move forward spiritually? And everybody will say, really, we changed incredibly. And that's only because a few people, it's such a limited number, like maybe 2% of the planet, think they're spiritual. And then I challenge people, because I'm a rebel, I'm a spiritual warrior, because I challenge people, and I'm not afraid to talk about what I know is truth, because they always say, don't talk about religion, don't talk about this. I want to say religion and spirituality are not much different. The only difference between the two of them is the way people perceive what's controlling it. Religionists usually use the word God and Jesus. Spiritual people use source and higher self. And I worked with the teaching called Kunlun, which actually teaches you how to separate from your body, go into a bliss state for a while. And that's what Buddha taught. So we can take that with religions, and again, like I said, they're the same in a lot of ways, because whether you say it's laws and rules, how you live by, or what's connected to them, it's how we live our lives. Are we open? Are we programmed? How do we function in the real world? And what are the steps that we're willing to take? All right. Then the New Age people, which I hate the word, is unconditional love, which all New Age people use, and I love everything unconditionally. Well, say that to a murderer, say that to a rapist, or say that to anything. I love them unconditionally. And what does that really mean? People will say, well, it's giving love without any rules or regulations. How much love do you give to a murderer or a rapist? Really, what are you really giving them? All right, the starving people in other countries. You love them unconditionally, but what are you giving them? Are you giving them something that helps them move forward spiritually or really in physical life? I really don't think so. As I've been dealing with numbers and the figures of all these different things happening to the world, they've been escalating to the point where we're the highest in all those things, abuse and things like that, more than ever in history. Sure, there's a lot more people here, but in general, this word spiritual, we're all becoming spiritual, and the world's becoming more perverted in a lot of different ways. And we're going to start with, okay, I use the word morals. Morals is a way to live, and people don't like the word rules or regulations or laws. But in a society where there's multiple people, there has to be some kind of, based on morals, some kind of rules and regulations. I always bring it up, and I know people don't like to hear the word Ten Commandments, and I say, well, look, no matter who brought them to this planet, they're not bad, they don't hurt anybody, and if people followed them, the world would only be a better place.
I'll agree with that.
I mean, when people
some of them I don't think are really that big a deal, like the images, the idols. I don't think it hurts anybody if you do worship them or not, but there are some morals in the Ten Commandments that I think are important.
Well, to me, here the two most important: "Thou shalt not kill," which is the main one for me, and then "Honor thy mother and father." But when you say "honor my mother and father," they have to honor you the same. You can't give honor to a person that's abusing you and beating you or anything like that. So it's a two-way thing. They didn't get it into great wording, but again, that was a translation of a human consciousness to tell us what it meant and things like that. But if we go into all of them, sure, the idols and stuff, false idols, and can't have any idols above in heaven or underneath the sea. So I don't know what they meant by underneath the sea. I do, but when they say idols from underneath the sea, what are they talking about? So Christians, in general, are 1 billion people on the planet, and they deal with, I call, programmed ideas. Program what love is, program what Jesus was to the real world or to what they believe it was, and how it affects the way we think and act.
That's an interesting point you're making, because are we really loving somebody? Are we doing a status quo of what, like, say, the church considers love, when it really could be more in depth? For example. Sorry to interrupt.
No, interrupt any time. When we talk about love, the average person truly doesn't understand it, even though they say they do. All right. In a relationship, how many love affairs, relations, marriages are deteriorating now? And it's growing greater and greater every year. The amount of people getting married this year compared to 25 years ago is so incredibly different, and very few people are. And in relationships, nobody wants to commit even 20 years. Well, that's a long time to be with somebody. Or it got too hard, or they got sick and I don't want to deal with it. It's easy to pull out of it. So the concept of what they perceive to be love, what does it really mean? And I say this to people. In a relationship, if you talk about love, it has to be 100%. Both parties. And they always say it's 60-40. 60-40 will work for a long period of time, but it will never last forever. Because that means somebody always has to give in to the other person. But if you're always willing to give 100% to the other person, it will always work. But in this time frame, with society and what mankind wants to be entertained with, it pulls us so far away from a true definition of love. I mean, even being with your children, work and money is more important than spending time with my children. And we're pushed into that. I mean, it's not just everybody wants to be like that, but they're being pushed into that and they have to accept it. Then both parents have to go to work now, not like it used to be. So those little things, when we talk about love, how much do people understand that? And how far are they willing to go to commit to a loving relationship? And then again, go deeper than that. What if you were alone on this planet? What would love mean? I challenge people. Think about it. What would love mean? Oh, I love the trees. I love the water. But what does that mean? Saying you love something. Oh, I love the ocean. Does the ocean change because you say I love it? I mean, science and a lot of new age scientists that are trying to prove that prayers work and energy changes things. But I call it, and the way I would word it is like going to a casino. It's a 50-50 deal. Sometimes it could work, sometimes it won't. If everybody's dream, prayer, or whatever was answered, the world would be great for each person on the planet. But again, the idea of love is different between 7 billion people. 7 billion people have an idea what love means to them. I mean, if they were brought up in an abusive family, their love idea is a lot different. Just to get way out there, I went to a club. I was staying with a millionaire family, and she brought me to this club. But it was a sex club. And when I went inside, all right, these people do all kinds of weird things and everything. But I asked as many people as I could, and they were all sexually abused. So their idea comes from abuse, comes from whatever they're programmed with when they're a child. Now, what I want to just get into real fast, children, when they're born, are really open to spirit, open to the sound, open to the light. And it's not them that becomes corrupted. It's the people that teach them, meaning parents, and later on in life it's friends. But a parent or two parents need to be aware of what spiritual means to them. Because when people say, oh, I'm going to teach my child this or teach them that, what's beneficial for the child, not what's beneficial for you. Well, they have to follow my religion, and it's programming. We have it at so many different levels around the world. Other countries, you don't have a choice. So when people say we're becoming more spiritual, where? Among the 2% of the people.
Becoming more religious, not more spiritual.
Well, again, religious. All right, here's the way I'll describe religion. Religion has, all right, based on the 10 Commandments, that would be religion. When man can't follow the 10 Commandments, that's called created religion. Man creates the ideas and the ways they're going to live, not by the true teachings. A religion that has a real spiritual teaching doesn't get accepted in the real world. And then again, what's really spiritual, because these people have no clue, because if you don't believe in a God or a higher being or a spiritual being or spirit, you're dealing with the two other words, which I hate to use, source, which means to me is just an energy field, and then the other word, higher consciousness, higher level of awareness. And that's only ego. And I'll go into ego because that's the main problem with the planet, main problem with religion, spirituality. And I'll tell you, 99% of the people in the spiritual world, in the New Age world, come from ego, not from spiritual truth. If you charge $3,000 to teach a seminar for two days, what are you really teaching these people? Is it anything spiritual? Well, how to create a bit more money in your life, how to live happy. How do you live happy in a world that's pretty toxic, pretty destructive in so many ways? Close your eyes and hide in a box is the way I describe that. People do not want to relate to a word called karma, and not everybody accepts it, which is fine. Sooner or later, they will realize the word reincarnation means you have to come back until you work off your karma. And I'll get into the astral world and then the worlds after that a little bit later, but the source and higher power, which most people talk about. What is the source? Well, it's an energy. We are all of that. Well, I'll describe that as 3 currents that come from God. One's an ascending, one's a descending, and one's a balancing. The balancing is the bliss state. When you go into that, you ride the energy wave, but you don't go anywhere. You don't think, you don't become one. And when Buddha taught that, that's where he was. So he was only teaching what he knew. But the serious problem with that, you can stay in the bliss state, which is the neutral state, forever, or a super long period of time, without knowing you're not going anywhere. But now, from planet Earth, being here in a physical body, it's so much easier to see the difference in levels of traveling in the inner world, spiritual worlds, and how they affect each part of you. Because when you're in that bliss state, and you let go of your body and you go into the bliss state, you're not thinking of what's good, what's bad. You're just riding the energy and staying in that bliss state, not realizing you can move forward. And on a spiritual path, there's always another step forward. I mean, you can go backwards too, but you should be thinking about going forward. And getting back to the spiritual warrior part, it's time to move forward. Not stay the same, not to move backwards, but to move out of the programmed ideas. And I dealt with many of the psychic channelers out there, the ones that channel aliens and angels and beings and you name it. Just, if you're into that, which I have been for many years, listening to them and trying to see if they have anything to say, what do they really say? A famous one, many people like him, Bashar, and he talks about the illusion. I don't want to get into that yet, but they have these different words they use. Buddha talked about the illusion too. Well, let's if anybody wants to really understand that, let's talk about that first. An illusion means something that's not really there. All right, if this world's not really here, you're not really here, what you're doing's not really happening. So what good is it? Why do you have to do anything? Why do you have to have rules, regulations? It's a sad part which people relate to freedom, meaning freedom, free to do what you want. That's great when you're if you were God in your own universe, in multiple worlds, whatever, you can do whatever you want. But on this planet, with a world with 7 billion people, we have to interact with each other that's here. We have to live with them. So when we say, okay, well, I'm in bliss and I'm in freedom, I could do what I want. You can, if you don't interfere with anybody else's space, physical space. And I'm not even talking about the astral space, but if that's true, you can't do much without interfering with somebody. You go outside and you go on a person's property, you're in their space already. When you say something to somebody, even when you say, have a nice day, that person, like somebody just lost somebody. Oh, they don't want to be in a nice place right now. We have all these programmed thoughts that we think we can tell people to have a great day, have a great life. It's letting go of the truth, and I use that word greatly because people don't want to know the truth. They'd rather deal with the programmed ideas of what reality is or what it isn't. And again, when you say it's the illusion, what reason is it to be here if this is an illusion? Or some people use the word dream. If it was, why wouldn't you, if you're connected to Source, which they say they are, why wouldn't you just create a new dream? Oh, you can. Funny, the people in China and other countries are still starving, children are being abused. I mean, you can change a dream, but it's not changing anything really in the physical world. Again, the astral plane is a little bit different. We can get into that, but I want to just finish this physical world first. When people say they change and they can change this, that, way they live, and you can get more money, but can it bring you happiness? I mean, when the Beatles did Money Can't Buy Love, it can't. But in society that we live in now, if you go on a dating site, the first thing they ask you is if you're making over $50,000. And that's what people want to know that their husband or wife is making when they get married. It's a sad way to look at a relationship or even start a relationship. We're limited to the ego meaning the mind, which is separate from spirit. And they work differently. Spirit's aware of much more than the physical mind is. The mind is a program like a computer. And everything you're told when you're a little child, as you grow, is a program that gets put into your brain. And your brain gets another little wrinkle in it with another programmed idea that's in it. Because I don't know, and I've been involved with spiritualism all my life, and I don't know too many parents that talk about God and spirit in a great way to their children or help them get into it. Never mind become a Christian, a Catholic, Protestant, Jewish person, whatever. Spirit means your true connection to who you are, not what anybody else is or what anybody else is. Because we are here as an individual soul. We come in as one single soul. We're not like multiple souls. And we leave as the single soul that goes back into the inner realms. All right? We don't take the world with us. We don't take our family with us. I mean, here's the biggest program that most mankind in religion and even in the New Age world believe, that they go to heaven and meet and stay with their family. I mean, they already accepted the word reincarnation, some people. And if you're reincarnating, all right, what family do you want to stay with? The family in this lifetime, the family in the last lifetime, the family that first came down into the lower realm? When they say, well, I'm going to meet my grandmother and grandfather. Is that so important? A lot of times they're already reincarnated, and you're just dealing with energy that was residue energy of those beings that were there. And most psychics work with that. Most of the channels that talk to spirits and all that, they're dealing with that energy, the energy that's a residue from a person, not the true person, because soul reincarnates in general. And if it doesn't, it goes into the next world, the astral plane, and then it doesn't play on this planet no more. And for people to think, because somebody dies, that soul has the ability to do whatever they want, are they God? Are they that spiritual or super powerful that they can come here and talk to people and do things in this world? We've been brainwashed, and I'll say I was a magician for half of my life, stage magician. I was into the magic, witchcraft, everything all my life. I studied everything. But when I did magic, you see the difference between... You see things that aren't real, but you believe that they're real. So when people say, well, oh, this is a real life, all right, what are you creating to make it better? Now, we're going to go into truth. What does truth mean to you when you talk about creating? And what are you doing in this world, really? Having a family, having kids, the more kids you have, the less you can be with every one of them. In most cases. I'm sure there's a few people out there that really love their family and stay with their family most of the time, but usually they have to have a lot of money. And then